So it makes me sad that I am between you and beers, so I'll try and make this entertaining and worthwhile. First thing, I needed some guests to talk to, so this could be very short and you could be drinking beer shortly. So I guess we can take some questions about, we talked about foresight this morning, we talked about a lot of technology. Today really continues what we started yesterday in terms of really doing the developer-centric, heavy deep dive into technology from an NSO perspective, from a crosswork perspective. I think the big pieces of today's, the highlights, I'm kind of biased, but I think the foresight launch was a highlight for the day, but also had a lot of good deep dive technology sessions, just talking about implementation. But a lot of customers talk about how they're solving things, and this is really what we try and make this session about, is taking the tools and applying them to do useful things. Also a reminder, we kind of switch gears at this point in the show. Starting tomorrow, we'll get a little more into the operations side of things. There'll be less in the weeds, for lack of a better term, and a little bit more about using some of our other tools, tools in the portfolio, like CNC and HCO, and those kinds of things, to get more into the problem solving as opposed to the developing. So hopefully you guys enjoy that as much as you enjoyed the technical session. I apparently have no friends, so someone take pity on me. Oh, thanks, man. And we meet again.
Yes.
So, guys, welcome. Would you like to take a couple minutes and just introduce yourselves and what you do for fun?
Okay, thank you. Hi, my name is Saša Djordjević. I come from Telekom, Srbia.
Rob Hinst from Crown Castle. I do network automation stuff.
Cool. So I'm going to ask you something a little bit different, because both of you have been doing this for a while, right? I mean, this is not your first rodeo. So for the audience, what do you think has changed over, say, the last 5 to 10 years from an automation perspective? Certainly the technology's evolved, but I think more from your perspective, how you approach it. What's changed in your point of view? Maybe what's changed in the problems you're dealing with, how you approach them?
So organizationally, for me, like NSO aside, I think that there's much more awareness of and acceptance of automation, kind of with the teams that I deal with. So there was some resistance when I first started out to automation. It's going to take our jobs. It can't do what I do. Everyone thinks that their Picasso, like their config is like perfectly crafted, and your program can't do that. And so like that's one of the things. Like we're finally starting to make some headway into other teams wanting to interact with the automation, seeing how it can make their life better, and some of those walls have started to come down.
Saša?
Well, it's a similar thing. Basically, even the guys that were pretty scared and thought we don't need this, now they're in the mood. We are so fed up of doing the same thing the same way. Let's give it a try. We don't care how it will end, right? But the biggest improvement is that we talked each other today. When you start when the wheel start turning, you cannot stop it anymore. I mean, it goes slow, and it's moved faster and faster, but it's great. When you have the first fruits of automation, everyone is starting to be happy to realize what is this for, and then it's great.
So it sounds like the conversation is getting a little bit easier, and the acceptance, there's less resistance than there was 10 years ago, 5 years ago.
The problem now is turning people away, because people are like, I've got this task and it's a lot of work. Where are those automation guys?
So what do you do with that? Does that change your approach or the tool set you look to put out there?
I mean, so we try to be reactive to whatever comes at us. So if something comes to us, we don't say, well, we've got a big backlog. Sorry, go find something else. We have to prioritize. Like, well, is this going to make a big impact? And we do have a big backlog. If it's not going to be more important than what we're working on right now, we say, well, we'll put it in the backlog, and we'll get to it when we get to it.
Is anyone in the audience going to admit to not having a big backlog? Yeah, I didn't think so.
Yeah, sorry. Well, we took a different approach from the start. We said, okay, guys, we have NSO. Let's try to automate whatever you want, right? So we put the pressure on us to, let's say, advertise the automation, and automation is your friend, right?
Yes.
It was great for us because now we don't have a pressure for a lot of things.
Oh, that's good. That's a good way of looking at it. So speaking about pressure, and don't feel any, just because we just launched our AI platform this morning on this very stage, and I'm wearing my shirt. So let's have an honest conversation. What are the triggers for you to say, you know what, I'm actually going to take this piece of AI and actually put it into production? Not the lab, not proof of concept, but actually take something and actually let it run amok on your, on your production environment. Kind of, what are the use cases, and what's the, what are the circumstances that you think, okay, this is the trigger for me?
So you can start, because I have not done much with AI,
Okay,
and I've heard from your presentation you guys have made some use of it so far.
Okay. Well, basically, what I would like the most is that you take for everything that you are doing with AI, that you take approach like you did with NSO and Workflow Manager, so that we are able to do. I mean, I know it's not easy. It's not on the same level, but why? Because it's not a question whether you will use AI or not. It's more on which way you're going to use it for everything that you need.
Okay, that's a good answer. And you're still, we talked earlier, you're kind of dabbling in
yeah, we're looking for a use case. I mean, I love to play with the new technology, like to the point where my team members have to rein me in sometimes and say, look, focus, like, this is a shiny new thing, but like, look over here, we got to finish what we're working on. So we'll find a use for it at some point, but we're not there yet.
Yeah. And I got to say, it's refreshing. I think those are healthy perspectives on the technology. I think there's a lot of hype, there's a lot of pressure to just use AI because that's the expectation of your management, or everyone else is doing it, or those kind of things. I think at the end of the day, it's not helpful for anybody. And I think one takeaway for the audience is there's no magic there, first of all. And if someone says there is, maybe want to poke a little more at this, but it's a technology. You should assess it just like anything else. Find the use case, test it. Does it work better than what you're currently doing? One of the reasons, and we touched on this a little bit this morning, one of the reasons we took the approach we did in terms of use cases is we wanted to work on things that you already have KPIs for. So then you can see, okay, this actually helps me do something better than I was doing before, and it's not, some weird piece of technology that's kind of cool, but you never really cared about the use case.
I will agree with almost all of that. I do kind of think AI as opposed to, so I definitely don't think you should be led around by buzzwords. Like every year there's a new buzzword, and people feel like their marketing team has to now everything has to say AI on it, and even if it's the same technology as before, find an angle to make it AI or make it be about AI. But AI kind of is magic. I don't know. And but I do agree, even given that, you do need to treat it like any other tool and figure out the use case and keep guardrails on it. And you can't just be like, I'm just going to AI my network. And that, I don't know what that means, but
Sounds cool.
Set it loose, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, basically, it's like any new thing that comes to the scene. People are a bit scared. They don't want to do it all the way full, 100%. But what they are not realizing is that it's like automation. I mean, yeah, it's great, but you really have to do a lot of stuff so it becomes great for you. And it's same with the AI. I mean, if you want to have AI sticker on your company so that it looks nice and everyone says, wow, you're using AI, fine, you can do it right away. But if you find the case that it will really help you solve some problems, then you have to put effort yourself to do that.
I totally agree with that. So I didn't mean to say AI is magic in the sense that you turn it on and everything gets fixed, right? Like it's
rainbow.
It's magic in the sense of you still need spell components and stuff, and you can blow yourself up, and that requires effort. But it's it has the potential to be transformational more than a lot of other like buzzwords that come out every year, I feel like.
I think one lesson from automation, if I rewind 5, 10 years ago when we first started talking about automation, I always visualize, a good number of the customers I talk to, in their mind they're thinking about that Mickey Mouse Sorcerer's Apprentice and the buckets running amok. That still really hasn't gone away, and you can do a lot of, maybe regrettable things with AI if you're not careful.
We'll see.
So you guys have definitely earned your beer, so thank you for joining me. You
Thank
guys
you very
can
much.
exit stage left, and I think Nicholas has paid some more people to be my friends, and they will be joining me shortly. Woohoo! So here are some familiar faces.
Yeah, and it's not Niklas that paid me to be your friend, it's you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Shh, that was our secret. So we talked for a while this morning. We got a good amount covered, but for both of you, what's something important you want folks to understand about Foresight, our strategy, kind of our point of view that maybe we didn't have time to cover this morning?
Nils?
Should I start?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I think I would like to then emphasize the journey. We talk about a lot of trust. If we forget about AI for a moment, most of us have been using NSO for quite a while. I'm still amazed that NSO is a very deterministic engine. The output is very clear. It's typically correct. We still get feature requests to build trust from the operations team. Like, can you format the dry run output slightly different? Because my ops team wants to verify each and every operation. And that's in the traditional rule-based world. We will have the same journey in using AI tooling as well. And it will be probably even longer to get the acceptance. So we're getting that into, starting from a read-only, someone asked about read-only capabilities, that's where we start, and how important that is to actually gain the trust. So we'll do the journey once again, gaining the trust.
Fair point.
So, in the conversation earlier, right, the term hype, it always shows up, hype. There's a lot of hype about agents, AI in general. And I think really what we're trying to do, or what we need to do as an industry, is hopefully go as fast as possible through that hype. I think, there will be, and there always is with some technology, but I think we can construct a very interesting future in networking, leveraging AI on top of what we do in automation. I think what we're doing in Foresight is setting some of those foundational building blocks to start that journey. But now, whether we start it in a healthy way, step by step, adding new use cases, or whether we start it and we crash, like, if we try to do the most complex use case, an agent that will do right away root cause analysis and troubleshooting, well, maybe we can fail. As it also happened with automation, right? We haven't gone right away to the most complex use case in automation. We've always started by simple use cases and then added complexity. So I think it's important that we all understand that, this is gonna grow, this should go progressively in complexity. We all need to learn, also us, we don't have everything figured out. This is technology that's evolving very quickly. And we need to go past the hype as fast as possible.
Cool. So now that you've both given me very sober responses, of all the things that are on the roadmap, and we shared a good chunk of it today, but we also have a bunch of interesting things kicking around. What's the use case that has you most excited?
So I will start first. It was mentioned also earlier by Rana. I think event correlation has been a long-standing issue for all network operational contexts. And I think we now have an opportunity to rethink how to do event correlation, how to produce, a higher quality outcome of the correlation process, of the correlation, let's say, engine. And that is a use case that I'm very excited with, because it can be very impactful across, a lot of different customers or operation.
Cool. Nils Petter?
Service discovery. everyone who have tried that to move legacy services into your orchestration system knows that if it's doable, it's cumbersome, expensive, many iterations to get there. We started doing POCs using these technologies to actually understand the existing services in the network, which is kind of a holy grail in non-managed network. If that could be done cost effective, you can actually migrate non-managed or legacy managed network without you having too much knowledge about the services there, or there's a lot of stale services to actually be able to discover that and then translate that into a programmatic deterministic word. That's kind of, for me, super cool.
Cool. Well, good answers. I'm going to be bad interviewing. I'm going to answer my own question. For me, I think one of the coolest pieces is maybe very subtle currently is the fact that we're fronting Cisco AI Assistant in front of all these things. I think to a point you've needed to be smart enough to know what question to ask and have some domain expertise to know, okay, I need to go to this tool to ask the question, hopefully it has the answer. I think we've gotten to a point where you can be kind of dumb. You can just ask the question and not care or worry about where's the data, which is the right tool. We kind of take that into the back end. And I think that then opens things up to a lot more people in terms of access to information and being able to pull out analytics and those kinds of things. So last question, because I know that their beer's calling. 5 years from now, what's one thing that these folks are doing today that they can maybe stop doing?
No, you start this time. This is your turn.
This is how you know this is not rehearsed.
You know, I think I'm not sure if there will be things that they entirely stop doing, because again, and this is just almost like a personal view. When we talk about the level 5 autonomy, perhaps we will never get there, because level 5 means completely removing the human in the equation, and I don't think that's going to happen. Perhaps I'm wrong, but it's difficult to know, right? But that means perhaps it's not entire tasks that are completely autonomously executed, but they are greatly accelerated by systems, and ultimately it's the human that will make the final decision or the choice or the approval of what needs to be done. But I think tasks, in the long-term tasks such as troubleshooting, root cause analysis, and so there are definitely ambitions that I think we can make. We can greatly accelerate, right? I wouldn't say again fully automate, but we can greatly accelerate with AI.
That makes sense. Nils Petter? Now you've had plenty of time.
Yeah, no, it's so I'll build upon what Javier talked about. I think it's the other way around. It's not really what you're doing less of. You will probably do more things.
Okay.
For those, I'm a bit still in my NSO world. It's a lot of different technologies there, which is a barrier. And then we have different capabilities. We have a workflow. We have you can add a different stack of assurance to build everything together. It's very hard to capture all that kind of knowledge. And we have forever been talking about combining the network engineer and software engineer in the same person. Using the tools that we're talking about and AI technologies, I think you will be capable to do more things.
Okay, so you're still working your 40 hours a week, but the scope of what you can touch and what you can actually accomplish greatly improved.
Yep.
That makes sense too. Okay, guys, thank you for your time, and thank you for helping us get this thing out the door today. And for the rest of you, thank you for paying attention, and go have some beer and enjoy the social event. There's a lot of fun stuff to have, and we'll be back here tomorrow morning, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Thank you.
Thank you.